I know you barely clicked on my video as this collection has already been covered by almost everyone 2 years ago. The Nightwalker series got overhyped since the moment it got released, and don't get me wrong, it's a great budget lens and I love using it. But I don't think that all this coverage is helping Sirui get the exposure that it needs. Even though I'm late to the party, I'm here to talk about the Sirui Nightwalker and do a re-review of this lens to see if it's still great in the big 2025. But first, we have to ask a genuine question. Are our lenses the secret ingredient into having amazing image quality? Or even better, is owning a Sirui lens a cheat code? And no, I'm not talking about any Krabby Patties, but we're actually cracking the code of filmmaking by seeing what was the hype about this collection. My name is Matei, I'm a 16-year filmmaker and I gathered some test footage with the Sirui Nightwalker, so we have what to talk about. It is a great lens, but no, I'm not sponsored by Sirui to do this re-review video, so I'm going to be completely transparent with you. No BS. It needs some improvement indeed. But before we dive into our video, shout out to today's sponsor, Epidemic Sound. We all know how important sound is in our videos. As they say, bad video with good audio is forgiven, but good video with bad audio is not. That's where Epidemic Sound comes in place. Their library offers over 50,000 tracks, 200,000 sound effects, AI voiceovers using your own voice, and even plugins for apps like Premiere Pro, After Effects, DaVinci Resolve, and they're currently working on a version for Final Cut Pro. I personally use Epidemic Sound for every YouTube video and even client projects. Their subscriptions are monthly or yearly, cancel anytime, and the best part, using the link in the description you get 1 month free, no deposit. Thank you so much for staying, and without prolonging it any further, let's jump straight into our video. To prove my worthiness of the name of honest creator, we are starting with the cons and the things I wish Sirui improved when making this lens. Right off the bat, when you take the lens out of the box, you notice that it is a little bit heavy, almost 590 grams. Being a manual focus lens, you kind of almost every time have to shoot handheld, meaning that your rig can get a little bit heavy when using this lens. Though it is not a big deal if you use a gimbal with the DJI's follow focus, or even putting it on a tripod and just staying still. Another thing I don't like about the outside of this lens are the scrolls of the iris and the focus. They're not the sturdiest, they're easy to move, and it is kind of an inconvenience for me, especially when you have to nail your focus using your hand or even a follow focus. Though let's not exaggerate, it don't move when you shake the lens, but I think Sirui could have just made them a little bit harder to move so you have more accuracy when moving the rings. There are not very much downsides about the performance and the capabilities of this lens. That's why for our next con we are also talking about something that it has a connection with the aspect. The Sirui Nightwalker's lens cap is very similar to my Sigma's 16mm f1.4, which is something like this. You push and lift it up. Well, I don't actually like this cap very much because I'm not confident that it can protect my glass, and not even applying that much force I can easily rip it off. But I hope they fixed it because this is a 2-year-old lens. They launched a lot of even autofocus lenses from then, and yeah, Sirui, please fix your lens caps. The aperture range of this lens is amazing. You get from T16 to an amazing T1.2. Though I'm not really the type of guy to shoot wide open at T1.2, but when I tested the lens and got some footage with it, I noticed some chromatic aberrations, and a lot of reviews talk about this. It is easy to see some chromatic aberration, but keep in mind it is a budget lens. It only costs $300, and for its performances I think it is a fair trade-off. But because filmmaking is all about creativity, you sometimes have or want to shoot wide open. Maybe you're in the dark, maybe you want to really separate your subject from the background and get a smooth and creamy bokeh. But again, you don't see this iris on every lens, you don't see T1.2 or even f1.2 on every lens, and if you do, you have to spend a fortune to get this aperture range. Another thing I noticed when shooting wide open, but it is kind of a con or problem or issue with almost every lens is that when shooting with a lower aperture, you don't get the sharpest footage. It is not that much of a downside because, as I said, it affects almost every lens. For example, if you have a f2.8 lens and you shoot at f2.8, you get the sharpest or see improvements in the sharpness at f4 or something a little bit above that number. If you want to have sharper footage with this lens, you can shoot at t2, which is actually an upside because you get a very shallow depth of field, and T2 also allows more light to come into the lens and you don't have to crank up your ISO and get noisy footage. Just keep this idea in mind. Usually when shooting at your lowest iris, it might cut off some of the sharpness, but that doesn't mean that you should crank up or change your f-stops. No, it is totally fine to shoot at f2.8 if your lowest iris value is 2.8. Don't mind this minor inconvenience because most people and viewers with untrained eye won't even notice it. Now let's stop being demotivating and let's talk about the pros of this lens, because we have some good features that I need to mention in this re-review video. The first thing you notice even before buying this lens is the price. Keep in mind, this is a $300 cinema lens. You don't see that every day. Besides the price, I want to include something really fast. Yes, you might argue that it is a manual focus lens and that you should just save up some money for an autofocus lens, but keep in mind most cine lenses are manual focus, and that is something that you have to learn about cine lenses. Professionals tend to use cine lenses that are manual focus due to their flexibility, but there's another reason which we're gonna cover later in the video, which is also a difference between still lenses and cine lenses. The customizability and flexibility of this lens is insane. I really like aesthetics, and this combination of black and blue really makes my camera look even cooler. Though, if you prefer a more lighter color, these lenses also have a metallic gray variant, and as I mentioned before, they are very flexible with mounts. Sirui offers compatibility with E mounts, RF mounts, X mounts, L mounts, and even MFT mounts. I know I already mentioned it a couple of times in this video, but I'm sorry, I have to say it again. Besides being in its name the Nightwalker and offering some exceptional low light performances, this lens also has smooth and creamy bokeh and offers good and shallow depth of field. This is a very good thing for me, especially because I have the FX30 and not the FX3, and it limits my base level ISO. I can shoot at T1.2 and not worry about being underexposed. Now, rewinding back to what I said earlier, to have a look at the difference between stills lenses and cine lenses. Usually cine lenses have a bigger filter thread, in most cases 104 millimeters. That is because most professionals on set want to have the flexibility of having the same filter sizes and not having to have an attachment to maybe attach a smaller size or a bigger size filter. I know it doesn't sound as a big deal when talking about the difference between still lenses and cine lenses, and yeah, filters for cine lenses, not this one, are quite more expensive than for still lenses, but you're supposed to buy 3, 4 or even 5 cine lenses that cover up all your needs and create a necessary kit that helps you not spend money over time for filters. Just buy one filter that matches all your diameters of your lenses. I might not have explained it the best way, but I think you understood it, and if you want a separate video when I talk more in depth about the difference between still lenses and cine lenses, comment down below. I might have railed a little bit off the subject, but after weighing the pros and cons of this lens, here's my take. If you want to dip your feet in the cinema world and cine lenses and don't want to rob a bank to buy an expensive one, I don't think there are many other options than the Sirui Nightwalker lenses. Sure, there is 7 artisans out there, but personally, the Sirui Nightwalker, especially the 35mm, earned a spot on my rig. I hope that my re-review made things a little bit more clear about this lens and also helped you make a decision about buying this lens. Thank you so much for staying till the end of the video, and if it helps, don't hesitate to subscribe, like and comment down below what you want to see next. I'm Matej. As always, have a blessed day and see you in the next one. Bye.